Okay, let's jump right in. Today we're doing a deep dive on the US-India strategic partnership, specifically looking at the Quad and, well, the results of that really intense stress test during the previous administration.
Right. And what the sources really highlight is this core finding.
Mm.
The relationship made it through, but it was left in a pretty strange state. Kind of paradoxical, actually.
Paradoxical how?
We had these big public displays, the Howdy Modi event, talk of great personal chemistry between the leaders.
Yeah, very visible.
But underneath all that, a really messy transactional dynamic was playing out. And it seriously eroded decades of built-up trust.
So, two tracks almost, the public friendship track and this private friction track. Which one tells the real story? We need to unpack just how bad the policy split got.
Definitely. Things like tariffs, disagreements over Russia.
And then contrast that with why the defense relationship seemed almost unbreakable, mostly because of China, right?
Exactly. The fundamental clash you see was between Trump's America First, which was purely transactional, like a business deal.
Everything measured on a ledger?
Pretty much. Versus India's long-standing policy of strategic autonomy. Basically, their desire to make their own calls without being dictated to by major powers.
And the flashpoint, the sources say, was India buying discounted Russian oil after the Ukraine invasion. Washington saw that as, well, undermining their efforts.
A betrayal, in their view.
Yeah, but hold on. Wasn't India just being transactional itself there, looking after its energy needs, maybe playing the strategic autonomy card? Did they just misjudge how Washington would react?
It seems like they might have underestimated the severity of the U.S. reaction.
Yeah.
Because that policy disagreement, it turned into real economic pain very quickly.
How so?
The sources point to August 2025. The U.S. doubled tariffs on a whole range of Indian goods, up to 50%.
50%. Wow, that's huge, not just a warning shot.
No, and they explicitly linked it to the Russian oil buys. There was no ambiguity.
And this is where you see the real-world impact, right? Tell us about Tirupur.
Yeah, Tirupur, India's knitwear capital. It was devastating for them. Factories just stopped.
Halting production entirely.
Yes. Migrant workers, many were sent home, just desperate. Exporters said their business fell by over half. It really shows you the human cost when these high-level political disputes boil over.
And the trust factor, that must have taken a huge hit.
Oh, absolutely shattered.
Yeah.
There was that extraordinary moment where India's Ministry of External Affairs had to publicly push back, basically contradict President Trump's claim that Modi had personally promised him they'd stop buying Russian oil.
That's a major public break. You don't usually see that. It suggests communication just completely broke down.
Precisely. Reliable communication is fundamental. That kind of thing leaves deep diplomatic scars.
Okay, so you have this deep friction, shattered trust, economic pain, but you also said the defense pillar was unbreakable. How does that square? Surely some of that political tension must have spilled over? Delays in arms sales, maybe?
It wasn't immune. Definitely not immune. But it was remarkably insulated. It survived, fundamentally, because of that one overarching shared strategic concern, balancing the rise of China.
The strategic glue, as some call it.
Exactly. That shared threat was just seen as more important, more enduring than the political drama of the day. It transcended the personality clashes.
And there were concrete steps taken, right? Institutionalizing things. India becoming a major defense partner.
Right, MDP status. And crucially, getting elevated to Strategic Trade Authorization Tier 1, STA1.
Why is STA1 such a big deal? Explain that for us.
It's huge. It essentially puts India in a category usually reserved for formal treaty allies, giving them license-free access to a lot of sensitive U.S. technology. It signifies a massive leap in trust on the tech side.
So it wasn't just talk. It built durability into the system.
Yes, and you saw the results. Over $20 billion in defense trade. More importantly, really advanced military exercises, showing interoperability, like the first ever tri-service exercise, Tiger Triumph.
And bringing Australia into the Malabar naval exercises, making the Quad exercises fully quadrilateral.
That was a major step, too, solidifying that Quad defense cooperation.
Okay, so that brings us to the Quad itself. The verdict seems to be stressed, maybe, but definitely not dead.
Not dead at all. Remember, it was revived back in 2017, then elevated under the subsequent administration to leader-level summits. The focus shifted somewhat towards providing public goods for the region.
Things like vaccines, infrastructure, tech standards.
Exactly. But that's also where the Quad faces its biggest challenge now, the credibility gap.
Meaning an identity crisis.
Kind of. Is it mainly about hard security against China, or is it about delivering these public goods? And its track record on delivery has been mixed, frankly.
The Quad vaccine partnership is a key example, isn't it?
It really is. A big promise over 1 billion doses, but the actual delivery, according to these sources, was only around 290 million.
And you have to remember, this wasn't just a policy goal. Vaccine diplomacy was deeply personal, a humanitarian need. That shortfall hurt its image.
Especially when the sources note China delivered something like 1.65 billion doses to the region during a similar time frame. It highlights that delivery gap.
Okay, so let's try to sum this up. The U.S.-India relationship went through the ringer. It's damaged, trust is eroded, but it's not broken. That strategic pillar, focused on China, held firm.
That seems right. And the Quad. It's active, it's functioning, but stressed. It needs to prove it can deliver consistently.
So, stepping back, what's the big takeaway here for you looking at the Indo-Pacific?
I think the primary lesson is just how vulnerable the whole regional architecture is to, frankly, U.S. domestic political swings.
Yeah.
Volatility in Washington sends ripples everywhere.
Regardless of which administration is in power, the potential for disruption is there.
Exactly. So the provocative thought, maybe the thing to really chew on, is that the Indo-Pacific architecture needs to be, well, Trump-proofed, you could say, or perhaps just volatility-proof.
Meaning what in practice?
It means the other key players, India, Japan, Australia, they need to prioritize building a stronger, more integrated core among themselves. An IJA trilateral, perhaps, something that can keep the momentum going, pursue shared objectives, even if or when America gets distracted by its own internal politics again.
Building resilience from within the region itself.
That structural resilience seems essential moving forward. It might be the only way to ensure stability in the long run.